Nieves is a former NYPD detective and says do not...
Everybody's looking for the monkey.
Yeah. So you
our smiles to give you a little bit of a brief.
And welcome out there to our peeps from all over the world. Yeah, I got a different background tonight because the old cityscape wasn't working. It just showed a lot of flaws. So this is my virtual living room. But that guy over there is in his own house, and his background doesn't change, but our guests change. And tonight we have not one but two guests. So that means double the info. We have Andrea Herrick, who's the founder of Proud Rescuers of Puerto Rico. And we have Evelyn Vaccaro, who is not only a director and producer, but also a stunt woman. Now, how about that? And she's just finished a very important documentary called For Sato Sake. And Angel has some video of Evelyn in action as a stunt woman.
Let's see it.
Well,
Wow.
you know, to use the vernacular, folks, Evelyn don't play. Not only does she not play, Evelyn is a serious stunt woman, as you saw evidenced by the trailers from the movies and the TV shows that she's been in. But she also, as we stated earlier, is a producer of a very important documentary for Sato Sake. But before we get to that, we're also going to welcome Andrea Herrick, who is the founder of Proud Rescuers of Puerto Rico. Evelyn, we're lucky to have Andrea on the show tonight because she just came from LaGuardia Airport, having done yet another rescue of some kittens. So we're going to start out right with that. Tell us about those new little fur babies that you just got from Puerto Rico.
They're adorable. There are 4 kittens in a litter from Gato, which is in Old San Juan. It's a sanctuary for cats and kittens. And North Shore Animal League of America has taken about 500 of our kittens in the last 5 years. So they've really helped us out a lot.
But why kittens from Puerto Rico? There are plenty of kittens in the Bronx. There are plenty of kittens in parts of Lower Westchester County. Why Puerto Rico?
Well, if you think about it, statistics show that Puerto Rico is the size of Connecticut, basically. Put in 1 million cats and kittens and 600,000 dogs and puppies. And they're everywhere you look. Not in Old San Juan or San Juan because they're the tourist attractions. But if you drive 20 minutes out, horses, cats, dogs, everything, chickens. It's very sad.
You founded this rescue group how long ago?
I started rescue in 2011. I lost my Yorkie in a dog fight at the dog park. He was 5 pounds and he was attacked by a lab mix and he died that day. And I swore to him that I would dedicate my life to rescue in his memory. And the next day I got a New York Times and there was an article on Dead Dog Beach in Puerto Rico. So I think the universe was listening to me and I signed on board that day. And for 6 years I was with that rescue. But in the interim, I met some amazing independent rescuers that worked across the island and decided that they needed help. So I started a nonprofit called Proud Rescuers of PR because they are just that. They're very proud people.
But how is it presumably the need to rescue animals, pets, is greater in Puerto Rico than it is in other parts of the United States?
Well, in the documentary, as you know, Evelyn has done a wonderful job with. You see Maria, first of all, people leaving the islands, abandoning their animals, and then they had the earthquake, excuse me, and then COVID. So people are constantly leaving their pets. I think education is key. Spay, neuter, that's a problem there. I think education and a spay and neuter program. Evelyn is also going to put the documentaries into schools.
Now, that gives us the in to Evelyn. Evelyn, tell us about your documentary and about what you're doing.
Well, I'd love to add on to what Andrea was saying. There were some people that had to walk away from their animals, and that's one thing that I want to make sure that that's noted, that not everyone had to abandon their animals. When people were fleeing for their lives and houses blew away, animals also ran in every direction, and people came back to their homes and couldn't find their animals, or they tried to take them with them and the airlines wouldn't let them because they couldn't have vet care to go on the airlines with them. So you had people desperate leaving their animals. And I've met people on the streets of New York, and I've talked to them about the documentary, and I've mentioned, did you have a pet? And they said yes. And they practically dropped to their knees in agony because they had to leave their pets behind, and they never found them again. And then when we went to Puerto Rico, those same pets were still sitting at those abandoned houses waiting for those families to return. It's the most heartbreaking thing you could ever imagine. So I just wanted to make sure that we added to that not everyone wanted to leave their pets. It was out of desperation that they were fleeing for their lives.
Are there, forgive my naivete, but are there any pet rescue organizations on the island of Puerto Rico itself?
Many rescues, and people aren't aware of that, but it's not even making a dent. The problem is catastrophic, and again, education, spay, neuter will stop the cycle. It just continues and continues.
Yeah. Approximately how many? I mean, I don't know if you are privy to the statistics, but how, in your estimates, I think from both of you, how many abandoned animals would you guess are in Puerto Rico?
600,000, right, Andrea? About. I know. And I say that because I thought less, but Andrea, she said no. There's more than that. I thought 500,000, but she said no. It's more like 600,000. So.
And 1 million cats and kittens. That's just dogs and puppies. So they're inundated.
Well, yeah. What's the again? Forgive my ignorance. So, what's the population of Puerto Rico?
Wow. That's a good question, actually, because there's so many people that have left the island. It's really hard to get that number right now. We've tried to, but every day there's a good, oh my goodness, they were saying about 250 people leaving the island every week. So that's a lot of people, and it's hard to keep up with those numbers now. It's really hard to keep up with it because people are desperate and they're leaving because they don't have much there anymore. There's just up until recently, I spoke to someone who was still getting water out of the river. So it's hard to keep up with that number right now. It really is. And I apologize for that, but I really can't tell you an exact number. And I don't want to say a number that doesn't work.
But 600, that's a staggering number, because let's assume off the top of my head that there, I don't know, 4 million people on the island of Puerto Rico.
Yeah.
And that may be an overestimate, but even still, if you have 4 million people and you have 600,000 abandoned pets, that's so many animals.
Exactly. And I got this number from a friend who actually was working with an expert, a horse expert in Puerto Rico, and she says there's 9,000 horses in Vieques and only 1,000 people that live there. So that's a good indication of the problem that's going on.
9,000. Now, in your documentary, because we want to encourage people to see the documentary, number one, what topics do you talk about? What will people see in that documentary?
Well, the main focus is to bring awareness to the suffering of the animals that have been going on there for many, many years now. This has been going on for a long time. In the Caribbean, as we all know, there's a lot of suffering of animals in the Caribbean. It's been going on for many, many years. But after the hurricane and after the earthquake and COVID, it's sort of, it's like Puerto Rico can't catch a break. This is helping to bring awareness to the suffering of the animals and the efforts that are being made by people, some of them of which have nothing, some of them that have very little, but find the way to help these animals, especially with help with rescue groups like Andrea's rescue, Proud Rescues of PR, and North Shore Animal League. But really, there's some people living there. There's a guy in particular that we just filmed recently who's living in an abandoned home, abandoned building, and somehow he finds a way to feed a good 20, 30 dogs. I don't know how he does it. He picks through trash. He finds, any kind of, anyone that gives him donations, but really he's on his own. And so I want to put this out there that when we help the animals, our goal is also to help the people, because the reason the animals are suffering is because the people are suffering. No matter what they're suffering from, whether it's addiction, whether it's poverty, whether it's uneducation, they're suffering. And that's the reason the animals are suffering. And we need to help them so that they can help animals. And the documentary is meant to create passionate mind toward living things.
And it took 4 years to make that documentary, correct?
Well, it took really taken about 2 years to make, but unfortunately, we lost time with COVID. We lost time with a few other little glitches, but really it would have taken about 2 years to cover the stuff that we did. But just recently we went back in to film some more. So I'm adding to that. I'm going to say 4.5 years, and I'm proud of it because we have a lot of good content, a lot of content that needs to be seen. And now even more so with this new content that we have, when we go to Puerto Rico, we're showing content that the Puerto Rican people, the local government, the educators, the people that make decisions need to see. So however long it takes to make, it's going to make an impact. I really think this could be a game changer for this island.
Well, yeah, it sounds like a very, very impressive documentary that's done out of love and dedication. And while we're on the topic of love and dedication, I want to flip back over to Andrea. Andrea, I'm just curious. Do you have what species of pet rescue is larger than the others? In other words, do you have more cats or more dogs? Or what?
As far as Puerto Rico, you mean?
Yeah, as far as animals that you bring.
Oh, definitely cats. Cats are definitely like a second thought. No, not a lot of cat rescues. Like I said, there's at least 1 million cats and kittens on the island.
Now, is it exclusive? Is your Proud Rescues of Puerto Rico organization, is it exclusive to dogs and cats, or do you get other animals like, I don't know, boa constrictors, rabbits?
Not yet, but we do cats and dogs right now.
So it's basically cats and dogs. Are the majority of them very young, very old? What do you do if you get senior pets, or do you even take a chance with senior pets?
Absolutely. We don't leave any mother behind. If we find a litter, we look for the mother. We would not leave her behind. Same with a cat and a dog. But seniors deserve to live as well. And there are seniors that want senior cats and senior dogs because longevity of their life is nearing the end. And believe me, it's a win-win.
What about pets that are hard to adopt? Pets that have disabilities or pets that have medical issues? What happens to them?
We had one, his name is Bono. He had no use of his back legs, really didn't like the wheelchair. And we adopted him out to a family that had a little boy in a wheelchair. And then she found out she was pregnant and she said, I don't know if I can take care of, a baby. And so we took Bono back, and the rescuer, Amity Torres in Puerto Rico, is one of our independent rescuers, said, I want him back. He will live his life here with me. And he is so happy.
Wow.
In the documentary as well.
Wow, that's a great story. That's a great story. Angel, you have some questions. I've been talking for the last 15 minutes.
I don't have questions. What I did was I spoke to one of the rescuers from Puerto Rico. Her name is Veronica, and she's in a documentary. And I was speaking. She was actually talking to me and running because she had to buy food for the dogs. And she's telling me what's going on in Puerto Rico, and it is bad. I mean, I'm trying to find better words, but it is bad out there. I mean, the animals are out there. They're abandoned everywhere. There's no money coming in. The Some of the shelters are closed down because there's no money, so the government closed it down, and there's nowhere for the animals to go. And it sounds like desperation. Okay, and the reason I'm saying, and the thing is, like, I'm Puerto Rican, and mi isla, my island, and I care very much about it. And I see what happened is the hurricanes. It was only one hurricane. It was two hurricanes back to back. The first hurricane knocked down all the lights. The second hurricane just demolished it more. And the people going through that, and there's no money, and there's debt, and a lot of commotion going on, which I don't want to get into. And then from there, the earthquake. And these animals, I mean, when there's a hurricane, the animal could be in one place and the water just takes it somewhere else. But they don't die. They stay alive in another place. Now they're completely lost and ends up in somebody else's lap. I spoke to my cousin in Carolina today in Puerto Rico. She's a huge animal lover. I wish you guys know who she is because she's my cousin and she loves the animals. She has one dog. After the hurricane, she ended up with 3 dogs from the street and 2 cats because she brought them in. They almost actually, like, all they could do is knock on the door. They actually came in and became part of the family. She did everything. She did the vet, the spay and neuter, and she checked the microchip. None of them had microchips. See, that's the thing. The microchip is so important. Nobody had microchip. And she says it was so bad they were finding dogs dead every place because of this hurricane, because of what's going on. She says it's a little bit better, but it needs a huge, huge improvement. And that's why I'm so happy you did this documentation to show the world what's going on, for the help of these animals. And
Go ahead. No, go ahead. Go ahead. I didn't mean to interrupt you. Go ahead.
So, I mean, it hits me hard because it's my country. And I helped out the best way I can when it happened, the hurricanes. And when I found you, Andrea, it's like it hit me hard, What I want to do is show some of the documents. I want to show the trailer, okay? And ¿qué pasó? Okay. We have to get back to that. I've been doing that now. We could talk about more. Go ahead.
If anyone wants to see it, if anyone is watching this when it shows, they can just type in for Sato Sake documentary trailer and it'll show up online, just in case we can't get back to it.
What comes to mind is that this is an ongoing situation. And it almost sounds as though if there isn't some sort of intervention, that the animal population is just going to...
It's been 5 years since Hurricane Maria devastated the island of Puerto Rico.
We just found this little guy literally leaving the development that I was staying at. He was taking on water.
Imagine like a place like Connecticut having that amount of animals just running around.
To see the love and affection
that they have for these Satos, the homeless poor animals. And they taking care of them even though they don't have any money. They really have nothing, but they rather feed their dogs first than to take care of themselves.
People still ask, like, doesn't it feel like just a drop in the bucket? And I say no, because if you spay just a single dog, that can prevent tens of thousands of puppies from being born, and with the cats in the hundreds of thousands.
Well, you know,
That's strong.
the images speak for themselves. Those are some really strong images, and you know, I don't know how anybody can turn away and not say that either they want to just make a contribution to the organization or to help promote the documentary. Those are, it's just staggering. And what I wanted to say before we went to the trailer was, it would seem that if there isn't any sort of intervention, like right now, that situation is just going to multiply and continue to multiply and multiply. And we're seeing one mass of animals there with the documentary that Evelyn, you've made, but a year from now, 2 years from now, you may go back and see triple the population, the animal population that was shown in your documentary.
Yes, the hope is, the hope is to get it into the school system. I did this in the Bahamas. I've done other documentaries, and the big goal is to create different versions to educate young children, because if you educate the children, they can carry on those messages to their own families. You know, sometimes the children go home and tell their parents, hey, this is the way we should be treating the animals. You know, I don't know what you've been doing, but this is what we should be doing. So in the Bahamas, I'm going to try to follow the same recipe that I did there, where I got the documentary. It's called It's a Pot Cake Life, and it's about the dogs of the Bahamas. Same kind of dogs, street dogs, abandoned dogs, homeless dogs, different island. That's all it is. They're made up of the same thing, but I was able to get it into the school system. I did a school tour through the Bahamas. I also got it on local TV. They still show, I did It's a Pot Cake Life over 8 years ago, 9 years ago now, and they still show it on their local TV station 3 or 4 times a month. They also use it. It's been in their film festivals over there. And I was told by a rescuer who's very, very knowledgeable of what's going on and with the homeless crisis there, that ever since that's been on their local TV stations, that more and more Bahamians are taking a liking to the pot cakes, and that more and more Bahamians are adopting their own island dogs. And that's huge. That's what we want to do. It's the local people that this is really for. We will, of course, use it to raise money for the rescues, because Andrea is so good. She's so generous. She gives to all the rescue groups. So we will, of course, raise money for the rescues. But at the end of the day, this is designed for the local people. We want them to see how beautiful these animals are, how absolutely incredibly intelligent they are, and how fun they are to have around. They are amazing. I have one right here. I'm going to call her down in a second. Zuma! Come, Mama. Come here, Bobo. She'll come down here in a second.
So and this is the question to the both of you who are doing incredible work. If somebody wants to get involved, if somebody, Andrea, I mean, you have a lot of volunteers, I would assume. And
Not necessarily. We do need fosters. We have a great team. We have 2 adoption coordinators, a transportation coordinator in Puerto Rico, and we all work well together, but we need fosters. It's very difficult to get people to foster dogs, puppies here on Long Island.
And what about, so not only fosters, but do you need participating vets who would perhaps give you a discount on some of the animals' medical needs?
We do here in Long Island, when people adopt, most of the times they're microchipped, spayed and neutered, but if they're too young, then we do have different veterinarians that we work with that will do a spay neuter at a lesser price.
Okay, but basically, if I hear you correctly, what you're saying that now you need
Fosters, yes.
Fosters in the Long Island area, or all over in the metropolitan area, New York.
Yeah, that's, wherever, as long as it's in New York and we can, get the adopters to meet the dog physically instead of like videos and pictures, which is what we do for those that are not here in foster. And that works as well. But I always say to people, if you buy a dog from a breeder, you pick a picture. You don't, they're out in California or wherever, and they ship you your puppy. So these Satos are the best dogs. We call them geniuses. They're so smart. They're amazing.
Now, and if someone wants to adopt, what is the adoption procedure? Because I hear a lot of people complaining, oh, I really want to adopt a cat, or I want to adopt a dog, but it's like it's worse than adopting a child because they want to know everything about me, yada, 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 yada. So what is the procedure like if they want to adopt from Proud Rescues of Puerto Rico?
Well, we do have a lengthy adoption application, but it's questions and answers we need to know. We're very particular. We want to make sure these dogs are going into a home that they will never leave again. We only had 1 dog in 5 years returned, and we didn't know she had a high prey drive, and they had a cat. They were 6 hours upstate. I drove 3 hours to drop her off, and they drove 3 hours to meet me. They took Alaska to their house. She was a white German Shepherd, and they called me that night and said, our cat is in the bedroom and she's trying to get our cat, and I don't think this is going to work. Nothing wrong with the dog. So on the way home, I met them again, drove back 3 hours, and I called my ex-husband on the way home and I said, I need to find a foster for this dog. I don't have anyone. I have cats. I can't bring her to my home. He says, okay, I will foster her, but I'm not adopting her. Well, 2 days later, he called me and said, I think I'm going to call her Nikki. She's the best thing that ever happened in his life. So that was our one return, and it ended very well.
That's
Zuma. There's Zuma.
So now I'm going to ask you, Evelyn, if somebody or an organization wants to sponsor or show your documentary, how do they go about doing that?
Well, right now we have a premiere coming up in Puerto Rico, which is very important because that's targeted towards the local audience there, the local people. As soon as I'm done with that, I plan on putting it online so that people can access it there. But if there's anybody in particular that you might know that says, hey, I want to try to get this here or get this there, please feel free to reach out to me. People have. I send them a private link just until it's ready to be up there online. To do the Puerto Rico before out on a bit of what I like to do as a documentary maker.
Okay.
We have a nun that we work with, Sister Jacqueline, and she wants to show it. She's a professor at the university in Ponce, and she wants to show it in August to all of her students.
Amazing. And she'll have it because I plan on getting it out to anyone in Puerto Rico who wants to show it at the university, at their school. I plan on doing an elementary school version for the younger children. They have a shorter attention span, maybe make a half-hour length one, or maybe even a 15-minute length one. It'll still be good for them. So there's a lot of plans in the future for educational purposes.
Let me ask you one thing. Who are these guys?
Oh my God, they're so cute. I remember those little guys when we came back from Puerto Rico.
We had the house, Lucy Bracero and her daughters. There's a mother and her 3 daughters that are individual or independent rescuers. And we went down, and that's when we started the documentary, actually. So that was 4 years ago.
Yeah, we each I carried 2 of those little guys back with me. Yeah, so cute. So cute. Now, when we go back again for the documentary, I'll probably bring back a couple more for Flight Angels. Flight Angels is an amazing organization. Andrea can speak more about that. I'd love to, if we can, take the opportunity to talk about some of the rescuers. You know, there's Veronica Lebron, Luz Santiago, Lucy Bracero and her daughters, Zuli, Nicole, Gabriela. There's Amadi Torres. There's Gloria Mati. There's so many rescuers out there. Jada Adorno, who does flight rescuers, flight
retired
angels.
police officer from Manhattan.
Yeah, she's a retired police officer now living in Puerto Rico. Jada Adorno, you should friend her on Facebook. She does amazing work. She has the Flight Angels. So there's so many rescue groups out there. I mean, I won't remember everyone right now, but I'm hoping that people will take the time, if they are in Puerto Rico, I hope they will come and see this film. It's much needed. People need to see it. People need to spread the word, spread the awareness. And then, you know, I feel like it's going to really do a lot of good. It has done good on other islands. And Barbados, I am so blown away by the work that they've done with their homeless crisis there. Barbados has been through a lot too, but they are doing so much good work for their animals, so much good work. So I know it can be done on the other islands as well. We should follow those recipes.
And now, because we're winding down to the final minutes of our show. Andrea, if somebody wants to, do you need, it sounds kind of dumb, but do you need money? I mean, if you
Absolutely. We get it in, it goes. It's constantly turning over. I think we're in a good place. And then I get, you know, invoices from the veterinarians, and we go above and beyond for these animals. If they, you know, need veterinarian care, whatever they need, we try to provide.
Okay, so if somebody wants to reach you, or if somebody wants to donate, they go, you can read it here, folks, on the screen, www.proudrescuers.org. And again, that stands for Proud Rescuers of Puerto Rico. And if you have some money that you want to donate, send it to that group, send it to Andrea, because she can use it. So Angel, I'm going to let you have the final words. Senor Nieves.
Yes.
Dígame, baby.
This right here is one of the most important shows for me. It's personal. It's my island. And Puerto Rico does need help. And if you could send money, like I showed you before, this is where you send it to. www.proudrescuers.org. And you can look at their website. You can see what they're doing. You can see the trailer again if you want. You can see the show. Tell everybody how important is this show today. The animals need you. Puerto Rico needs you. And the thing is, us Puerto Ricans, we rather take something out of our mouth to give it to you if you need it. And that's brought to me from I was a child with my parents, and it's taught to us. And they're doing it over there in Puerto Rico for the animals. So they need money for themselves. Puerto Rico needs money. It has to be a lot better, more rescuers. And over here, you could help by giving money and foster these animals. Reach out to Andrea. She'll work with you. Okay? And for everybody else out there, please spay and neuter your pets. Get them microchipped. And do you know where your pets are?
Angel, can I just add one more thing?
Yes.
We're on Facebook and we're on Instagram, and we also have a page for our documentary called For Sato Sake Documentary on Facebook, so people can like us and follow our journey.
Fantastic. Yes. All right, Angel. So with that, I want to thank you both for being on Your Pet Detective. And we're going to hear more from you. We're going to follow your progress. And with that,
thank you.
We thank you so much for allowing us to share our story here. It means a lot to us. We really, really thank you so much from the bottom of our hearts and the bottom of the Satos hearts.
Yes.
Gracias a ti. Gracias
Gracias.
a todos. Okay,
Thank
Angel. So with that, take us away, bud.